What's up, gathered friends, and welcome back to BIONICLE Autopsy, the show where we cut through Bionicle piece by piece. It is no secret that Bionicle is often regarded to as the savior of LEGO, who, at the time, had been approaching bankruptcy. But if one were to look, they might notice that Bionicle wasn't quite the franchise that brought LEGO back on its feet. And while Bionicle might have helped LEGO stabilize its profits, technically, the real hero was Star Wars. And if anything, Star Wars kind of catapulted the idea of LEGO wanting to obtain their own IP, henceforth creating Bionicle. Without Star Wars, we probably wouldn't even have Bionicle at all. So why is it that Bionicle gets the reputation of saving LEGO? You'd think Star Wars would get a bit more appreciation. Well, perhaps there's more to it. And perhaps Bionicle did a bit more than simply earn more profits for LEGO. And that will lead us into today's question. How did Bionicle save LEGO? To answer this question, we're going to rewind a little bit and talk a bit more about something we've already discussed. Now, in my What Made Bionicle Special autopsy, I covered the line's transition from Voodoo Heads to Bionicle and explained the true meaning behind the Motunui robot. But what I didn't talk about was what exactly was changed between Voodoo Heads and Bionicle. In fact, where did the name Voodoo Heads even come from? Now, in the time, before Bionicle became Bionicle, the line went through several different brand names, all revolving around the same idea. Boneheads, Voodoo Heads, Do Heads, Boneheads on Voodoo Island. That last one basically summarizes the idea behind the theme. Do Heads would be a story about a band of mysterious robots living on a remote island to, practice voodoo. However, an evil witch doctor would take over and cast the island into an eternal plane of darkness, causing each tribe to band together and bring forth one of their most powerful warriors to challenge the witch doctor. And those warriors were named Axe, Blade, Flame, Hook, Claw, and Kick. Now here we have some information that was very obviously transferred over to Bionicle. It's safe to say that the main plot points here were pretty much all retained. Minus a few name changes and a different feel and tone, this was practically the same story. But the story itself wasn't the only thing that was changed. LEGO really wanted to incorporate an interactive ability with the sets this time around, and to do that they created a function where the heads were looser and easier to remove. This was so when the Voodoo Heads could battle each other, the victor would knock the head off of the other. This didn't quite work for some very obvious reasons. One, it was a little too violent for kids, and two, children felt too detached from the sets. Some even felt bad for knocking each other's heads off. It was clear to LEGO that they would have to redesign this playability feature to better resonate with their audience. And here we have two different things that kind of kickstarted the change into Bionicle. And with the inclusion of Christian Favor's Motunui concept, it was time for LEGO to sit down and refine the story a bit more. Introducing the Bionicle Story Team. Now it was the head of the Bionicle Story Team, Bob Thompson, who took what we had for Voodoo Heads and began to morph it into what we now know as Bionicle. And to do this, he made a decision to take influence from the Maori culture, a very controversial decision, which really helped shape LEGO's foreign policy, which we'll get into later. But at the moment, just know that this is also one of the things that really helped shape LEGO into the company that it is today. But with the inclusion of the Maori influence, the Bionicle Story Team changed several names and themes with this line, including that of the Toa. Whereas before they had really simple names such as Flame and Claw, they now had more unique, specialized names to better represent their character. For example, Pohatu was the Maori word for stone. And the Maori influence really helped Bionicle sort of find its footing in the direction it wanted to go. And with the inclusion of Motunui, the line dropped the whole voodoo aspect in favor of a more original theme. And those heads that made kids feel so detached, it was also replaced, in favor of something that would become a staple of the franchise. Something that was far more easy to market to kids. The Kanohi Mask. Now, the masks were some of the very first collectibles that LEGO heavily marketed, opening all kinds of doors for easily purchasable items that kids could buy and trade amongst one another. While the idea wasn't necessarily revolutionary in and of itself, it was one of the first times that LEGO took collectibles truly seriously. In fact, Bionicle in many aspects was a first for taking things seriously for LEGO, such as the introduction of style guides. Now, style guides were basically a catalog of different imagery that would be used for Bionicle each year, with the purpose of keeping the set designers, the art team, and the story team all on the same page as far as what direction they wanted Bionicle to go. The style guides would be used by everyone, from marketing to canister designs to labels, logos, and even music. This kept everything to do with Bionicle very universal and similar. Even merchandising, such as Bionicle toothbrushes and blankets, which, by the way, were another first for LEGO, still follow the same design pattern that the sets did, or the advertisements did. This made for as little deviation as possible, so that no matter where you were or what you were buying, if it had the Bionicle logo on it, you would recognize it no matter what. It gave the entire line a feeling of independence, and almost gave Bionicle the feeling that it was made by a small team of people all on the same page. And this really helped LEGO stay hip and fresh amongst other toy brands. Before Bionicle's release, LEGO wasn't really all that flashy. They didn't really bother trying to design different box artwork or utilize CGI imagery for anything. It was a trend that really started to push LEGO forward. And with the inclusion of the Bionicle website, LEGO had never really had a stronger footing in marketing than this. Bionicle was a really ambitious project for LEGO, and it definitely benefited in the end. With Bionicle's strong online presence and easily recognizable imagery, popularity for LEGO had skyrocketed immensely, and it was around this time that controversy started to itch its way in. You see, with Bionicle's popularity rising so exponentially, it was only a matter of time before Maori representatives found out that the line had used several bits of their culture without consent. Now, it probably isn't new news that there was a dispute between Maori representatives and LEGO over the use of Maori terms in Bionicle. Several Maori people had found themselves offended by the misinterpretation and misuse of Maori terms such as tahunga, which actually translates to a very well-respected doctor, being used for an insignificant villager. In fact, even fan sites such as bcpower.com were being attacked by a Maori individual who was offended by the use of the terms. And while many people believe that this dispute was resolved through a lawsuit in which LEGO lost, this actually wasn't the case. In fact, LEGO sent several representatives of their own up to New Zealand to speak with the Maori themselves. And it was there that they discussed and agreed upon the use of Maori culture in Bionicle. LEGO willingly changed the term Tahunga to Matoran, as well as several other things, such as the names of some of the Matoran themselves. And it was because of this event that LEGO decided to form a code of conduct for the use of traditional knowledge in their toys. And this would allow LEGO to use several different influences with consent for further lines, themes, and other development. And if at any point something felt out of line, LEGO could easily change or work around it. This would mark the start of LEGO's foreign policy, which they would use for themes further down the line, such as Ninjago, without being considered racist. It was a very smart and respectable move by LEGO, and an event that would really show LEGO's growth as a company. Bionicle really helped LEGO establish a style of its own, as well as really helped LEGO further develop their marketing. And that was all in combination with Bionicle being LEGO's first original line, as well as skyrocket LEGO's online presence and form their code of conduct. It goes without saying that Bionicle really helped LEGO. But wait, there's more. Because despite all the achievements that Bionicle brought to the table, there was one thing that it really changed about LEGO's mindset. Because before Bionicle came along, LEGO used to market their toys towards two types of children. The boy who was more shy and reserved, kept to himself and liked to think about his playtime, and the more creative and artistic child who liked to build and use his imagination. But with Bionicle, LEGO wanted to do something different. They wanted to really be able to market the toy towards a different kind of child. Remember how I mentioned that Voodoo Heads had a function where their heads could be chopped off by one another? And how collectibles were a big part of Bionicle's marketing? And why the Kanohi Mask were so important because the kids could actually feel attached to their toys? It was because LEGO really wanted to market the toys towards the louder, more rambunctious and bratty kind of child. The kind of kid who liked to break things and blow stuff up, and really show off his collection and brag about the new mask that he just got. While testing Bionicle's performance with children, this was the type of child that LEGO truly focused on. And when the set designers began planning out the sets, they nicknamed this type of kid the Bionicle Boy. And what this is a fine example of LEGO beginning to branch out. Whereas before they were content with their audience, now they wanted to market towards different types of kids, and truly get the consumer's feedback on their toys. One of the things that made Bionicle special was the fact that the fandom had such control over the line. Bionicle was the first line that LEGO truly opened up and listened to the consumer first. And it was a change in mentality that truly started to set LEGO apart. It was the reason why fan sites like bzpower.com were such a big deal, and why we were able to actually talk to Greg Farshty and ask him questions about plot details. It was the reason why we were able to build up a stable community of fans and truly enjoy the series together. Bionicle did a lot for LEGO. And without it, it's hard to say what the company would even be like today. But one thing that is certain is that Bionicle will always have a special place in our hearts. Who would have thought that a bunch of plastic could bring together people from around the world? It's been a fun ride of plot twists and revelations and giant robots duking it out. And I feel kind of bad for anyone who wasn't there to experience it. But for now, I will bid you adieu. Until next time, thank you for joining me for another Legend of the Bionicle. I'm Vardaran, and this has been Bionicle Autopsy. Thanks for watching.